Okay, we'll go live. So it should come up on yours when we've gone live, but we are recording at the moment.
Sure.
So I'm going to share it in our group, which is, here we go. Just takes a wee minute, I think. Have you got it coming up yet?
It's telling me that it's recording.
And it's not, but it's not saying live streaming. Just give it a wee minute. Okay, I'm just going to type in a little heading. Just put in about pulling on the lead and stopping and not walking and not wanting to walk. So it's setting it up now.
Just so you know, it's saying it's now streaming live.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Great. Let's get started. I can now see you as well, which is great. Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So we are just going live. It's 9:30 on Tuesday morning. And I have Ali Carrington with me this morning. So I was just going to introduce Ali before we get started. So Ali is a Jan Fennell trained dog listener. And she has her own company called Speak Dog with Ali. And you can find her on her website, speakdogwithali.co.uk. So Ali's got a wealth of knowledge on all things dogs and dog behaviour. We both are trained in the same kind of style, I guess, which is that everything that we do is kind, and we point you in the direction of listening to your dog. That's really the fundamentals behind it. So yeah, Ali, do you want to just say hi and let us know about your own little dog pack?
Yes. Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my little room in the depths of mid-Sussex this morning. My team today is, you can kind of see a little head there. This is Ludo. He's 3-ish. He is a boxer, originally from Romania, and camouflaged a little bit is Chili Dog, who is 10 and a half, also a boxer. So yeah, these guys are generally in this room with me when I'm doing Zooms. They seem to kind of understand, because I think I've done so many now. They seem to understand that this computer screen goes on, I start talking, so they just go.
Yeah, they know, they can tell that you're busy, you're focused on something else. They must think it's very strange when you think about it. Like, so she puts that computer on and then kind of starts talking to herself.
Yeah, I know.
There's no one else there.
I know. What on earth do they think? I know. They sort of, the other thing I do, I'm a member of Rock Choir, which is like a community choir.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do a lot of practicing and singing, and some of that's on Zoom and some of it's in the car. So I'm just thinking, God, I'm wailing and screeching. What on earth do they think I'm doing?
I know.
They just sleep, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll just point out that this photo, I don't know whether you can see that.
Yeah,
that's
I can
Kenny.
see it, yeah.
He came to us as a 10-year-old rescue, and we thought we were just going to give him 2 weeks while he gently passed away by the fire, came out of shelter, wasn't coping very well in kennels.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so poorly, so emaciated that we honestly just thought we were going to look after him for the end of his days, which wasn't going to be very long.
Mm-hmm.
turns out Kenny had different ideas and needed to stay on in this world for another 3.5 years, causing all sorts of havoc along the way. So whereas Chili was my pup who brought me into this world of dog listening,
Okay.
behavior that I hadn't experienced before. And so she clearly needed something different from me.
Yeah.
She was my sort of foundation course,
Yeah.
advanced course.
Love it. Love it. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because Fudge, who I don't know if you'll be able to see, but is lying down there. Yeah.
Oh, I see some
sort
fur.
of. Yeah,
I see some fur.
She's just lying, basically the fire's on, so she's lying by the fire, happy as can be. But the dog that brought me to this conversation all those years ago was a little dog called Pepsi. And I've not got a photo of her here, actually. I think it's around the corner, but she's a little black and white Cocker Spaniel. And she was with me for the foundation and the advanced for sure, because she was like, yeah, we had such she was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, but she really, and I'd had her since a puppy, interestingly, and she just suffered really badly with separation anxiety, and everything sort of stemmed from there, and went on to, you know, pulling on the lead and running away, and actually not running away, that was her brother, but because of the separation anxiety, she never went anywhere, so everyone thought she was really well behaved when we were out, because she would never leave, until she got more and more stressed and would start to become aggressive to other dogs to get them away. So fairly classic tale, but I didn't know that at the time. And then Fudge came to us, and much more relaxed, but she also has taught me a lot about, I think with her, probably patience and going at her pace, and just really understanding that it's not about me, you know, and that's powerful when you kind of have that realization. Life gets easier, I think.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I think, to move on to the subject that we were thinking that we would talk about this morning, which is pulling on the lead, but also the kind of opposite side of the same coin, you could maybe say. So it's the same problem for the dog, is the sitting down and not wanting to go anywhere, which is...
I'm sorry, I always slightly giggle at that image in my head, because I've got an image of a huge golden retriever just going, I'm sorry guys, splat on the pavement, chin down, like legs out. I'm not going anymore.
Yeah, I'm just not doing it.
And as much as it's actually not funny, the root cause of it is not funny.
No.
The picture of it is actually hysterical.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So what would you say to somebody who had said golden retriever, or any other dog really, that decides they want to just sit there?
Yeah, okay. So the first thing I do is do quite a lot of, try not to be too forensic, but quite a lot of questioning, because it's rarely, in my experience, is it about that particular scenario. And so what I'm really interested in is way before that scenario happens. So if that happens on the walk at 10:30 in the morning, I want to know what's happened since everybody in the household's got up.
Yeah.
And actually, even before that.
I was about to say, even before that, yeah.
Since, you know, but to help people understand it, sometimes it's easier to go in smaller steps. So let's just cope with what's happened directly before that, what's happened then in that morning, and then in general, right, what happens in life with you all.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely deal with that in the same way as I would deal with my dog pulls me all over the place on the lead. And I would actually try and wait with the specific strategy and tactic about getting around that, because it's way more important, the build up.
Yes.
So annoyingly, I am so annoying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer that question directly yet. I'm
Yeah.
going to spend quite a lot more time on the build.
Yeah.
And whether that build is the 2 hours previous, or actually the 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years previous.
Yeah.
There's a blog on my website, actually, something along the lines of how to walk nicely with your dog. By the way, it starts way before the walk.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And what would you say? So I'm going to do the yeah buts for the people that are listening. So what would you say? So I'm out there and my dog's pulling me, or my dog's sitting down. What would be the perfect thing to do in that moment?
Okay. So in both occasions, I would stop and be as boring as possible. So that I'm not giving any information inadvertently to that dog in that moment, because something's going on with that dog in that moment, and their mind is elsewhere. So they probably in a little bit of possibly panic mode,
Yeah.
or if not panic, they're certainly trying to understand what you're going to do next. What if I just lie down here? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And so the last information we want to give that dog is to pay any kind of homage to the dog, to give any unnecessary attention to that dog. Because if he is panicking, you're going to add to the panic. You're going to express to the dog that, yeah, you're right, there is something to panic about.
Yeah.
And if he's asking you the other question, which is, I'm just going to stop, what are you going to do about it? You don't want to then feed him any attention at that moment and give him extra information that he controls any level of the decision making right now.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do is just stop, be boring, probably take a few deep breaths.
And would you advocate if the owner is also feeling stressed at that moment, which 9 times out of 10 they are, frustrated, like what you're dragging me, and either I'm getting my arm pulled off, or we're just standing here and I really want to get to the park. Would you go as far as there's nothing to be done here except go home?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, the reason I said take a few deep breaths is absolutely to knit in with what you've just said. It is really stressful when you're outside with a dog that's not quite behaving in the way that you want. And there's all of those lovely, well-behaved dogs across the road that you think, oh, look at all of them and look at me and this guy. So yeah, absolutely. It's really important that we just calm ourselves down. It gives, it allows us to drop all of those kind of internal physiological functions that the dog can sense that we probably can't: heart rate, blood pressure, that kind of thing. So just take a couple of breaths, bring everything down. Then the dog can sense that you're calm. It lets us feed our brain with oxygen and think about what the next best step is. And generally, I agree. If you just feel out of control, let's try and go back home as quickly as we can. Or, let's not go forwards. There's something about the behavior that is informing us that we are putting the dog in a position that is either making him panic or question our judgment.
Yeah.
So with a very practical, because you asked me the yeah, but in a very practical answer, if I had a dog that had frozen, stopped, either standing, sitting, lying, what I might do, what I've found that's quite useful in my experience, is just to put my hand on the collar, as long as the dog is okay with that, You know, some dogs don't like to be reached towards their head, and they may have a harness on, so you may be able to just take the harness instead.
Yeah.
And just calmly, gently, but firmly like a brick wall. So not jerking like a waltzer, firmly like a brick wall or a tree. Just move them sideways. Take them slightly away from going forwards or backwards. I always feel if we're pulling back, they're going to want to go further forwards. And if they're pulling backwards, you know, stopped, then to pull them forwards isn't helpful either, because they're going to just put the brakes on. So as for a practical response, just moving them to the side is often quite useful, just to get them off that sort of their rooted spot.
Yeah.
And then try and get home, turn around, walk home.
Yeah, I actually find as well, like you say, the sideways is brilliant. That's a great kind of in the moment. If you've got yourself to that situation, Ali and I would always say, you know, get to know the signs in advance so you don't find yourself in that situation. That's a much more helpful strategy, I guess. But if you do find yourself in that, often with our dogs, if we turn around, if we breathe, we stop, we breathe, we take a few minutes, and then we head home, actually, the dog is up for that, because the dog's scared. The dog wants to go to its safe place. It wants to go back where it feels safe. So if you can just do a little bit of a sideways encouragement so that you're not dragging, like you going, oh, right, we're away home type scenario, then the dog will start to calm down and go, oh, okay, so we're going back to our safe place. Brilliant. That's fine. I'm okay with that. And we'll start tootling home.
It's quite interesting to understand, if we're talking about pulling or stopping, where it happens on the walk. Is it going out or is it coming back? Because some dogs actually are worse pulling back to the house because they're so desperate to get back there into safety. So actually it's the coming back that's worse than the going out, which, unless you dig into it and understand this level of panic, might make your average person think, well, he enjoys going for a walk, you know, because it's okay getting to the park.
Yeah.
But on the way back, they're really desperate to get you back there.
Yeah, so they're pulling on the lead. Yeah.
So I would absolutely start with how we even begin to approach the walk.
Yeah.
You know, how you were saying, notice the signs.
Yes.
So for me, it starts with picking up some of the walk paraphernalia, whether it's collar, lead, harness, coat.
Yeah.
Are these any triggers? Are there any triggers that the moment you pick your trainers up, the dog starts bouncing off the walls?
Yeah.
You know, that's a big sign for me that there's panic going on.
Yes.
And the dog's building its adrenaline to be ready for whatever happens outside the door. And that's an interesting conversation sometimes, because some people that I've spoken to before have said, no, but my dog's delighted to go on a walk. So, well, describe that to me. The moment I pick up the lead, he starts running around, you know, wagging his tail, jumping around, running to the door, that kind of thing. Yeah. So he's happy. And I would try to avoid putting an emotion onto that action. And what I would do instead is say, does that dog have adrenaline? Yeah. Is that an adrenalized dog? And that, for me, is the only question I need to answer. Because if it's yes, then there's no way I'm taking a adrenalized animal outside of its den. I'm going to try and do everything I can to reduce that adrenaline in that animal before we go outside together, where there's a world of 100,000 threats. Yeah. Imagine I took these two adrenalized beasts out of the door. There's no way I would even be able to walk calmly. I'd be dragged down the road.
Yeah. And that's interesting, isn't it? So going back to that point, which I think is really, really important, is like what you were saying with the pulling on the lead or the stopping. you know, we can go right back to before we've even left the house, and we can go back further, which we won't today, but just going to that point of the adrenaline starting, you know, that's a huge misunderstanding between animal and human, because we, whether it's cultural or whatever, you know, we as humans seem to think that means something good.
Yeah.
And in our experience, what we see is a dog that goes out like that is almost guaranteed to not behave in the way that you might want it to when you're out on a walk.
When you've got problems, always occur when there's over adrenalized dogs.
Yeah. And what is a, like you say, it's interesting, you say over adrenalized and I say overstimulated.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
the same thing, you know.
Exactly.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because what does that look like to the untrained eye? And yeah, like you just described before you go out, that is an over adrenalized or an overstimulated dog. And to put it to a human's way, so we can kind of start to relate to how they're feeling, you know, if you've ever experienced a panic attack or you know, like an extreme excitement or an extreme nervousness, it's pretty intense, actually. It can be very intense. So for a dog in that state, a lot of the time, it's fine for a short period. You know, we as humans and dogs are able to cope with a certain level of stimulation. Of course we are, but it's when it's goes on and on and on, twice a day, every day, weeks and weeks and months and years on end.
Yeah. And if I liken it to myself, if I'm in a stressed state for a longer period of time, a more of a chronic period of time, I make really bad decisions and I lash out at the people that are close to me.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't cope calmly with, it's almost like there's an extra bit of stimulus. My poor husband asks me what we're having for tea. And I go, well, I don't know, do I?
Yeah.
You know, it's that as an example, you know, you're kind of up here and then something else comes in and then there might be that out of control response, reaction.
Yeah. The difference between responding and reacting, which we can look for in our dogs. You know, are our dogs responding to us or are they reacting? And if we feel they're reacting, there's a good chance we've missed some signals and we've gone too far too soon, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I'm gonna I think we'll finish up there for today. If there's any questions in the Facebook group, I'll go in and have a look at it. I'm not sure if you can see, I kind of had it up here, but I don't think I've got it here just now. So if anybody listening to this got any questions, if you want to come into, if you're not already in my group, you can come into my group, which is Julie Helps You Help Your Dog Community, which is on Facebook, and you can put some questions in there, and I will be back tomorrow to talk about whatever's in that group, whatever the questions are, or we'll move on to our next topic. I did a poll, I think I was saying to you earlier, Ali, I did a poll in the group a few weeks ago, and the first thing that people really wanted to hear about was recall, which we did yesterday. Today was the pulling on the lead and stopping. Another one that was talked about a lot was long lies. Being able to have their dog sleep in the morning and not, do you know what I mean? Yeah, not like demand attention immediately they wake up.
Oh my God, yes.
So I thought we might have a wee look at that one tomorrow.
That would be a good discussion.
Yes, indeed. It brings up, all kinds of things. So yeah, we'll finish up. Ali and I will finish up today. Thank you so much for listening. And yeah, as I say, the group is there. Use it. Ask us questions. Yeah, we're always happy to talk. Anything dogs. All right. Thank you so much for coming on today, Ali. I really appreciate it.
Oh, lovely. No problem. Anytime, Julie. Thanks for asking me.
No problem at all. Cheers, Ali. Bye for now. Bye, everybody.
Bye.